Okay, so I'm back. I can see people have begun to come back. We just wait another 10, 20 seconds and everyone will be here. Okay. Welcome back from the breakout session, and hope you had a productive time interacting and providing input to the Pitching Venture founder. I hope you quickly, someone among you volunteered to pitch, and I really appreciate, and everyone should. I visited each room and got a sense of what was being discussed. So I felt there was a lot of diversity there, nature of interaction, the ideas were diverse, and it was largely, I would characterize it as a relaxed environment. And I would put the caveat here that brief sessions can also be very intense, because probably you may not find the opportunity to get that critical input from the market, anybody who represents the market. In this case, your peer group did. So it's a good match between a mix of the intensity plus relaxed, so that people can give thoughtful and honest feedback. So now I would ask one representative of the Pitching Venture, and they would now tell us in 1 minute first if they will change their idea, product, strategy, vision, whichever, after receiving input from their peers in the breakout room. So will they change? Yes, no, maybe. And second, if yes, in what way do you see and understand that change? If no change, then why not? So please do not take more than a minute or two maximum to tell us that, and we will get started. Let me pull up the Google Sheet. One thing I noticed, I don't know if you use the Google Sheet, and I suspect that it would be mostly vacant. Let me just pull it up here and see what's out there, because maybe you use this session to, yeah, I don't see any activity here. Probably you missed this link I had put in the chat box right in the beginning for you to go in there, and you could have used these boxes. That's okay. In any case, I would have deleted it, but the same questions were articulated here. So let's make it a sort of a verbal presentation interaction for each venture idea. Okay, so I'll just roll this back so we can have interaction. And I would invite room number 1 to present. Anybody from room number 1, the founder of the venture.
Okay, so this is Matthew Saxey. I don't know if you can all see me or not. Yep, there we go. Not Matthew Sexy. That's a bit weird. So we had 2 presentations. I presented one. We didn't get to a point in time where I felt that I needed to change anything, but there were certainly some very good comments that came back that allowed me to think about things that I need to take into account, or we need to take into account when we come to put together the full business plan. There are certain questions that need to be answered, and getting their feedback was helpful, but there was nothing that required a pivot or anything at this moment in time.
Okay, so there was no strategic change that you could sort of take your mind towards based on the short and sweet feedback. They were all aligned with your idea. Is that what you say? Broadly, they were aligned with it. They saw the prospects.
I'm not sure I could confirm or deny that at this moment in time. I think that they understood what we were trying to achieve, but I don't know. I didn't get a sense of people were either for or against it. I think we had only just started, and so people were trying to understand what it is exactly that we're doing, and had we calculated certain elements that were necessary to prove the credentials of the project, and the answer was no, not yet. So we hadn't gone past that point.
Okay, Matthew. Now, how much you get out there close to your market and try to extract any sort of a honest comment and feedback and reactions from them?
Sorry, I'm not sure I understood the question.
how much do
Mishra.
you go out from your zone to your market, with your solution and trying to get input from them?
So we're at the beginning phases of putting it all together. That's part of the plan. So having done the business entrepreneurship module as part of the specializations, one of the important parts will be the MVP and making sure that we have at least a target market that can see the value in it and buys into the story that we're trying to narrate around our product and why we think it's important. So no, we haven't that yet, but yes, we will do that.
Okay, yes, earlier the better, and more you get out there and more you iterate, closer you would be to taking a lean approach, right? So you would see that some of these maybe useful strategic shifts could begin to happen early, and you may get to a point of a pivot or a few pivots early in the game, right? That would improve your viability. So that's the basic message of our session today. Yeah, great. Okay, Matthew, thank you very much. From room 2, who's there to present?
Yeah, this is I presented an idea to the group. Hearing a lot of feedback. I think we were cut short Monday. Sorry, I think you were giving me some feedback too, but it caused me a minute of I got to step back and look at the technology solution that I was thinking of, and perhaps go back and have someone who's a little bit more technical look at this. Yes.
Khaled, can I just request you for a moment, because I know you talked about your problem and solution to your group members, but this is everyone here. Can in 1 or 2 lines just pitch your idea, and then you can comment on what you got from.
Oh yes, I'm very sorry. Yes. So basically the idea is a payment solution, a B2B payment solution within the hospitality industry. Specific to travel agents, private jets, and suppliers of that nature. It's a just-in-time product, which is the whole key to the product, and the USP that belongs to it. The sales and marketing part of this is quite well thought out, because naturally that's my background. Where naturally not my background is technology. So although the idea is there, I think Mohammed also and some others who were in the group who are more technically sound said, you really need to look at WorldPay and some other people who do solutions of this nature, and perhaps look at a white label as part of the back end of the technology, which will make it leaner to begin, and a lower investment to do the trial and error. So I need to go back and look at that part of it, and I'm already engaged in customer feedback. Some customers have told me to change some ideas that wouldn't work for their business. Some of the bigger suppliers that I've talked to, and I've known them for 15 years, so that really helps. They have an honest, transparent relationship, so they can tell me what works or doesn't work for them. Yeah.
Okay, Khaled. So I think you had, and I had a peep into your room, some experts in your fintech area, right? Who could give you some useful feedback. And when they say going leaner, this also has the connotation of saving resources, right? Less costly, lean, that word. But in this case, we are also talking about how do you align with the market, right? As to, first of all, your market is not well defined, but whichever market you discover, and which would be your potential market, I mean, are you really aligned to it? That's the exercise of leaning. And of course, there's with the resource consciousness, but I think you got good input, and you should be on a lookout for more such as a way of life, right? I know that we could go more in depth to discuss about your space and anybody who's going to present, but we'll move on now. We got a sense, but in one line, Khaled, is there anything that you would take away from this room, which would perhaps instill any change in your approach?
I think it's very important to know nothing going into a situation. I'm an expert in certain parts of this industry, but I'm not an expert as an entrepreneur. So I always taking away from everyone more information. So I thank everyone for letting me listen, because it tells me how little I know about certain elements of the technology. Thank you for that.
Excellent, excellent. Actually, you said you're learning to be an entrepreneur, right? I think that word learning itself gives you the mindset necessary for lean approach, right? So otherwise, I see and I run into where somebody knows it all, right? They have very perfect solution and they want to take it to the market. Quite often they end up in a challenging situation, right? Because they haven't done much with the market. Either they go to the wrong market. So I like the learning statement from you, you know, where that will say that you'll be more open to strategic changes. So I see potential ahead, right, with this mindset. Thank you, Khalid. Okay,
Thank
wonderful. Room 3, who would like to present?
Hi there, it's Lorraine here.
Hello, Lorraine.
My things I would change would be to work on how to take the complexity out of the pitch and how to be more succinct with the pitch. We were very much like Matthew in the beginning. We got to talk about it, but didn't really get a lot of conversation going around the challenge. We had some questions, but certainly it took too long to get the concept and the information out and to be understood, that we didn't have enough time to really dig into the individual parts of it. Yeah, there was good questions about financing and technology and other aspects, but it took too long to explain.
Okay, I understand. Lorraine, you know, that is, yeah, of course, I didn't ask you guys to come up with a prepared pitch, you know, but that is a challenge that everyone should address as they go along, right? Whatever and however complex or sophisticated idea they have. But as you can see, your group was trying to understand, right? What is your problem you're solving and what solution you're proposing? So that itself must have taken a good chunk of time, right?
Yeah, and we listened to more than one to then decide which one we wanted to hear. So I think it would have been better to have it, you know, not to have that situation in this meeting here, to become prepared and say, right, here's the ideas, guys, which one we're going to listen to, so we actually have the time to have the conversation, because more of it was taken up with just conversation. So it'd have been better to know what we were coming into today, to be actually choosing those, so preempting our discussion, so we could have chosen the ones in advance. So too much time was spent deciding which one we were going to talk about.
Got you. So Lorraine, I think you'll go from here and do this exercise in your mind or through your conversations. Try to come up with that 1 or 2 liners in your mind for yourself, you know, which would be your breaking line, and that would have the enough density and communication capability so that even a layperson who's not familiar with your area or terminology can relate to it. You know, that's why the pain points are the base of any idea. You know, if you can communicate the pain point, not in a very specialized language, but as simple as possible, which has the sophistication. So I think that is a good starter for people to then begin to see your solution, right? And then sort of interact or react over it, you know. So yeah, that's very, you can say, that's all too common, right? Everyone needs to engage, and you only get better and better at it, right? So your experiences, your learning, and your initial posturing, a combination of all this would try to make your pitching, even in a few lines, more meaningful, you know, and more catchy for your listeners. Great, wonderful, Lorraine, thank you. And we will go to room 4. Who's going to present there?
Yes, hi, my name is Waleed, and I'm in Charlottesville, Virginia. And the idea is a centralized app where people can buy new cars based on their wants, needs, and cost of ownership to save them time and energy and not have to rely on flashy ads or people who are not specialized like recommendations. So that is the basic idea. And the group that I was with was very generous in sharing their experience in buying new cars or their plans. And they had very constructive questions. My MVP will expand a little bit. So I've learned something, and that is to emphasize the financial part. I come from a decision science background, so my focus was on the decision making of the car itself. But of course, the app will help with the delivery and provide financial process for obtaining a loan or a lease, and the insurance. So it is, it's the whole process, including the choosing the car, identifying a car that is meeting the needs, and then going on with purchasing it, processing the paperwork, the ownership, and the delivery of it. So those are the things that in the MVP will include, but I will focus a little bit earlier on the financial part. I think I'm going to bring it a little bit earlier in the process before the insurance side of the equation and the delivery in a way that might be more helpful for the potential customers. I don't know if I lost you guys because I tend to talk too fast and jam a lot.
Okay, that's good. I think I can see there is some implication you're taking from here for your business model, at least one aspect, and also how you conceptualize your MVP. And one of the common phenomena that I have observed among startups is that a large majority of them think that they are at the MVP stage. They have an MVP. However, I would say in 80% of the cases, at least, I have seen through interaction, they realize that they have some more miles to go, right? Because MVP is a very sort of a transitional stage after which you have embodied enough market sensibility and you are ready to talk to any serious investor who could consider you to really test out your product market fit or going for higher level of investment, right? Or scaling on any of those. So I think it's good that you are able to, and the car industry itself or its financing is in a state of transition. I can see that at least in 2-3 countries that I have been exposed to, it is in that stage, right? And so the timing is right, but it's very complex and dynamic, right? So that means you have high potential if you really come up with the right MVP, with your correct conceptualization of what your market is. Is that truly your market? Because I often hear that my market is very big, right? To me, that makes no sense. The market is very big because when I ask the next question, then what is your market? That's when we run into a problem, right? Because you could be actually in something else's market. Depending on your value proposition, your market would be unique, but how big is that unique? It depends on how you define your uniqueness, right? What is the value proposition you have? So that conversation always brings down the market size. So good. I learned a lot from your expression from your group. Thank you very much, Walid.
Yeah.
Sure. And we'll go the 5th group, room 5. Who would be presenting? Group 5, anyone? Okay. So I know that we have run past the time. Group 6, room 6, anyone?
Yes, I'm here. Eduardo from Montreal. How are you?
Hi, how are you?
I propose myself to show my idea. Right now, elderly care centers have trouble with elderly fallings. And we fixed that by prediction technology that predicts the fall 3 to 5 seconds before it happens, so that the elderly avoid irreversible and mortal injuries, right? That I'm witness of in my family of that. Our team is expert in neuroscience, physics, and artificial intelligence. And we have already created more than 30 IPs and technological transfer. But this is my first time I'm learning how to do it myself. And so that's why I joined Quantic, to learn how to do it. Before, I was relying on someone else, sometimes with not that positive results. So this time I want to do the whole 9 yards. That's the idea, right? And after the discussion with my peers, I got very beautiful comments, mostly technological. I think they are more technological mindset people, but I got some things that expand my view on the market segmentation, like to add more segments, actually, because we were focused on 2 markets, which is elderly care centers in Japan and US, and the second one, that companies that collaborate with these centers in US. But now there was a suggestion to add hospitals that work with rehab, this kind of injured person that might benefit also of this technology.
Okay, wonderful. Elugo, that's the name I see here. Is that how you say your name?
Yeah, Lugo. Yeah,
Elugo. Okay.
That means
Elugo.
that comes from Celtic. That means light.
Oh, wonderful. How wonderful a name. I'll remember that, Elugo. So I think, yeah, you got a lot of technology feedback and thoughts you can take. But in the elderly side of it, the behavioral aspect of those elderly people, I wanted to ask, are you going to elderly people and talking to them? Is that happening?
Yes, we started actually using the lean startup methodology. We have over 50 interviews with different stakeholders, from elderly people to institutions, actually. And that's why we came up with these 2 segments in the beginning.
Okay, so one thing is elderly people, the other is the caretakers of elderly people, because when you talk about tech savviness, because if you have a tech product, who would be the ultimate users? Would it be the caretakers who will facilitate and enable, or would it be a mix of elderly who would bring in some sensibilities, feed into their caretakers, and they'll be the ultimate users?
For now, it's the daycare centers, like they're
Okay.
going to be the ones who administrate this, right? But part of the expansion can be to go directly to C, which is the elderly people, but they require a lot of education. So that's why there's more barriers going to the C instead of the B.
Right. Okay, good. So I think I have seen several startups in related space for elderly care and healthcare, and using technology and platform and several products. And ultimately, their pivoting has come from the market behavior, the end user, right? And so they have gotten very useful insights in how do elderly view their health, and when do they feel taken care of, and especially when technology is the interface, right? They have mixed feelings about technology, but I know they appreciate the intervention if somewhere it really solves the long-standing problem of theirs, right? So when I'm saying it, I have 2-3 startups in mind. So I don't know much about your startup, but I can sense that that would be an ongoing need, and that would be a lean process for you.
Yes.
Yeah.
Totally agree. We have already leaned many times on the idea, basically, but now we're in the process of money funding raised, and I'm sure we are gonna leap again, because now we are gonna test on the field. We want to test on the field right now. And if it doesn't work the way we thought, we're gonna lean towards some other segment, probably.
Wonderful. Thank you, Elugo. I remember the meaning of your name as well, light.
Yeah, that's the Celtic.
We all need light. Yes, in Celtic. And we all need light. We all need enlightenment. right? So I would remember your idea and your names. That brings us to the close of our presentation. If anybody from room 5 has shown up, you can present, otherwise we. Okay, so what is our conclusive thoughts on, yes, somebody said something?
Yeah, my name is Milan. I'm actually in New York. I was in room, I think it was 5, I'm not quite sure, but no one ponied up, so I'll speak real quickly. I've only been in
Okay.
program for 2 months right now, but my idea in a nutshell is that I am building out a DIY garage to service people who want to maintain their cars on their own, but are prohibited by doing so for 3 reasons. One, they live in a facility, apartment, a house complex that it's illegal to work on your car in the parking lot. 2, they might not have the necessary tools. And 3, the climate might not be conducive. It might be winter, it might be summer. So I want to include it as a like a gym membership where people can have a monthly subscription for 3 levels of services that will feature amenities and benefits and etc. And where they can have a true auto experience, where they'll also have restaurants and lounges within inside the facility. So they can also have entertainment as well. So as more and more people become under financial needs and strains, they want to maintain their own cars longer, or they're car enthusiasts and they want to work on it, maybe detail it out, whatever, but it's probably cost prohibitive or time prohibitive or even tool prohibitive for them to do so. And in the long run, it'd be more efficient for them to do it inside a facility that's going to cater to their needs. That's it.
Wonderful. And I'm sorry, what's your name again? I missed.
It's Milan, like the city.
Milan. Okay, Milan. Happy to see somebody from New York City. I spent 8-9 years there, so it's always. I don't live there anymore, but yes, I remember. And I think you are really solving a huge problem of self-help in auto repair, right? And you're trying to strike the right kind of model here. So you were the one who presented in that group, and then you got some input, or you could not?
Yeah, I did present my idea roughly, and there wasn't much input,
Okay.
but yeah.
Okay, good. So maybe I think as long as you employ some of the lean process techniques or in a sort of an ongoing way to make a shift in your strategic posturing about the problem area that you want to solve. Using those methodologies would get you sooner, to where you want to be, right?
Yes.
So maybe I'll try to share some material on lean process also with the group, because you guys are there in my email list now. So maybe I'll share some material out there, which you can take a look. Yeah, just have to take care of the copyright and stuff. I have a few articles, but I'm still trying to get the copyrights of it to be able to share, right? But good. Yeah, it's good to hear. And so what is our conclusive thoughts on today's webinar? And we'll close with that. First, I hope that everyone in the breakout room was as honest as possible, not like friends and family, because authenticity of feedback can only ensure that the new venture can use it for their re-strategizing, and if necessary, to pivot and move closer to their MVP. Also hope that you carry out the rhythmic lean process of generating or improving viability for your own venture through interaction with your external stakeholders, especially with your market, as direct to true potential customers as possible. So no beating around the bush, try to get to your real potential customer. Also that you openly and repeatedly test your hypothesis or product between the stages of your prototype and MVP. So everyone is on that path and you do it openly and repeatedly. And do a lean canvas exercise for your representative market. So stay open about who's your true market, engage with them and listen to them. That is, do your customer discovery, right? That's the most critical. And so it was good to have you all at the webinar today. we conclude the session here. Take care and stay safe. I know we have exceeded the time limit a bit.
Thank you very
Thank
much.
you. Thank you very much.
It was really
Thank
great.
you.
Thank you.
Take care.
Thank you, Dr. Hart.
Thank
Thank
you.
you.
Thank you.